we're going to start a new submission. We're going to go here to start the submission process. Okay. We've got 5 steps in the submission process. I know where I am because I'm in the author section under submissions, and I'm in a new submission. Step 1. My contact information is here. If you have any trouble, go ahead and contact me. I do know what I'm doing, really. First thing you're going to do is you need to select the section that you are submitting to. The section in our context means your department or center. The centers that are, if you're in a center, the centers that are currently using OJS for blind review, managing blind review, are Gulf Coast, which has just gotten online with Vance Whitaker, Mid-Florida REC with Carolyn Roper, and Citrus REC with Joan Noling. And then the department, then choose your department if you're not in one of those centers, or if you're in one of the other centers, select the department that the publication should be going through. That's the department of the corresponding or lead author. So in this case, I'm choosing the testing department. Okay. The next thing you need to do is check. You need to have all of these boxes checked. The submission file is in OpenOffice, Microsoft Word, or RTF document file format. For the time being, submissions are acceptable in PDF for other formats. Down the road, we may be moving towards using a Word template, so this may be less flexible as we move forward. Where available, URLs for the references have been provided. You can look up DOIs at, and here's a lookup tool for your references. We're hoping to assign DOIs for EDIS publications. If we do that through Crossref as part of the responsibilities for membership in Crossref, we have to assign DOIs for all of our citations. So if you will do that for your citations, it will save us a lot of effort as we move forward in backtracking and looking those up. So go ahead and try and it will help you also because it will provide those valuable links from your citations to others. The text adheres to the stylistic and bibliographic requirements outlined in the author guidelines, which is found in About the Journal. So I'm going to go ahead and click on these. Here we go. The author guidelines, you've probably seen this, gives you a link to the manuscript submittals checklist, which you should use if you are in an open review department, and goes through the requirements for the text, the figures, minimum of 30 DPI, maximum. The figures need to be able to be used in EDIS publications, so they have to be have the permissions, and how to do the callouts and the tables. So the full-size figures are not needed at the time of submission for review, but they will be needed before they can be laid out in the editing phase. Good idea to pull those together when you're making your submission. And then here's a repeat of the list that you're being asked to check off. And the copyright notice that appears on each PDF and at the foot of each HTML, linked from each HTML page for EDIS publications. They're not public domain, they are copyrighted to UF-IFAS, but we do grant permission for educational purposes. Okay, so that's our guidelines for submission, in case you were wondering. And the ensuring a blind peer review. So what you're going to do is in your manuscript, you'll see in the on the info page when you go to the file menu, you'll have this information about the author and who last modified it. There's a button here to inspect the document. You're going to click on this and then click on Inspect Document again. It gives you a sort of a list of things that you can do to inspect the document. One of them is to remove personal information. So it'll go through and inspect it. It'll say there's personal information in there. It's going to give you an opportunity to remove it. You say yes. And then you have to save it, close it, reopen it, and you'll see that all the personal information is gone. And then it will strip out this information here. That's how you can check to see that it was done. And then for any track changes, it will take out the name. So it'll just say author A, author B, author C. Okay. If you have trouble with that, you can ask me. Let's go back to the submission then. Go ahead and switch to the submission. We're still on step 1. Okay. So now I'm at the comments for the editor. This is a good place. Editors like to, if you're doing blind review, it's a good place to put the names of any reviewers you would like to have assigned, especially if the editor is not familiar with your field. It's a great idea to give them some suggestions. If it's a part of a series, if it's a major revision of an existing publication, or if it replaces another publication, if there's anything unusual about the layout, or if there are other related files that need to be taken, if there's anything unusual about it, any deadlines, anything that would go in the comments on the submittal form. If this is tucked away on that summary page at the beginning, and the editors typically work in the review or the editing page. So if there's anything important that you're putting in this field, it's probably a good idea to also repeat it in an email to the editor to make sure that that gets across. But it's important. It's also useful to have it documented there. That's where we would go to look to see, was there anything said about this? So this is where you get that put down on the record about your submission. So it's a good place to say thank you. Okay, so the second step is where you upload your file. It gives you instructions, and this is good to keep in mind. It gives you 5 steps for how to actually select and upload the file. And it gives you a link to instructions for ensuring the blind review that I went through. Now, the instructions that are on the website are a couple of versions of Word behind, but they're still, you can still follow them generally to accomplish it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Choose File. I believe it's in the Downloads folder, the one that I have. Let's see. Yeah. So working with files downloaded from OJS, they will have that submission ID number and a file number associated with the submission ID, and a code for what section of the submission phase it was in. So I'm going to go ahead and open this one. And then click Upload to upload it. Okay. So I had to, in this section, in order for it to work, I had to choose it, upload it, and then I'm going to have to save and continue in order for it to go to continue on. And then I do have the option on this page to replace that submission file here. So I can look over the information here and then click Save and Continue. Okay. Now it's my opportunity to enter the metadata. That's what we saw on the summary page. And the metadata is seen by the editors. And if this were published, If it is published down the road, the metadata is what would be seen by the public. So the metadata that you enter is likely to be edited along the way by the editors to ensure that it's accurate. But it's especially helpful, like you want to make sure you spell your co-authors' names correctly and things like that. So your profile information will be entered in as the first author. And then you can add an additional author. I'm going to add Al sitting here, so I'm going to add Al as my second author. And what's your email, Al? Al. So I see I didn't get that together before I came over here. So yeah, I'd want to have all of his affiliation correct, his bio and such. And if I'm not the principal contact, if let's say Al was actually the principal contact, I could make him the principal contact for the correspondence instead of me. I'm going to keep myself as the principal contact. But if he was the first author, but I happen to be the principal contact, I could reorder this. He's the first author of this document. I'm merely the second author, but I happen to be the principal contact. So, and you can add multiple authors beyond this and reorder, and these can be reordered later in the process also. Title, test, let's see, testing author and reviewer. Process. Okay, this is a test. Just in case we aren't clear on this. All right. Contributors and supporting agencies, if this is appropriate. References section. There's some nifty tools for handling references that we aren't using yet. Do not take your references out of the publication and put them in this section because your reviewers can't see the references in this section. So your reviewers will say, where are the references? If you remove them from your manuscript and put them here. So I would suggest pretty much ignoring this for now. Okay, so only the title and abstract are required here. Most sections require an abstract. This section, the abstract is what the reviewers will see when asked to review a publication. So that can be important for getting a timely review. There we go. We're now on step 4, uploading supplementary files. This is where you will upload images, or if you're in an open review department and you've already done the peer review, you will upload your submittal form here as a PDF. Any other forms or related files, these may be made available to the reviewers. Let's go ahead and choose a file to upload. I'll just here, let's go ahead and upload the PowerPoint. It can be anything. Okay. Okay. And this will be other. Okay. You can give a description. A lot of information you can put in here. None of this is required. And you can then save and continue. This box here, important. If you want reviewers to be able to see it, you must check this box. The editor will be able to change this if you need to change the setting. So if the editor needs to be able to see it, go ahead and check that. You also can edit your information here or delete it. Okay, so that's there. Now I want to save and continue. So I've got two files, my submission file and a supplementary file. I'm going to go, and I can add supplementary files later. I'm going to finish this submission. And now when I go to my active submissions, voila, there it is. It's in review. I can see the original file, the supplementary file. I can add a supplementary file. If I click on this, I can go to the page for the supplementary file, change the information. I can change whether the reviewers can see it or not. I can replace it or delete it. Okay, I can contact, I'm on the page for this submission. I can contact the editor. I can change the metadata. I can go to the review page. I can upload a different version of my submission. I can see what's happening here. I can see any comments going on.